Thank you very much, and very good evening to all of you. I have to begin by telling you just how honored I am to have been asked to speak on behalf of all of us who are here this evening and all who knew Father Merlet, and especially all of the award winners of Pro Musicis who loved him so much and for whom he did so much. Each of us has our story, and that moment, that particular moment that sticks in our memory. For me, it was at the Hospital for the Incurables in 1981, playing a Brahms sonata with all of these mostly very young patients. And there was one boy who was a quadriplegic, and he would react whenever the music would become more intense. And when it would really move towards a climax, he would moan and groan as if he was in so much pain that I was alarmed. And I had had some experience at playing in these kinds of situations, but I had never seen anything quite like this, the way this boy reacted. And at the end of the first movement, his mother, who was sitting right next to him, got up and said, "Please don't worry. When he makes that sound, he's reacting to how much he loves the music." And this went on throughout the performance. And I left that day thinking, my goodness, what an extraordinary world we live in. And how incredibly powerful is this language of music that somebody who's had such misfortune can derive such incredible emotional thrill and satisfaction, even though the only way they know how to react to it is to make a kind of agonized sound. That would have been the most extreme situation. There were many others, and we all have our stories, as I said. But in Vacaville, when we played in prisons quite a bit, all of us. So it's what we called our most captive audience. And there was one evening when the French television was making a film about Father Merlet and Pro Musicis, and they brought their cameras into the prison in Vacaville, and we did the concert, and everything was wonderful questions and really intellectual curiosity, and then one of the guys who was very, very friendly, he said, "I play the guitar, man. I'd love to play you some stuff. Maybe you can come back to my place, my cell." You meant. And so I looked around and I thought, what do I do next? And so one of the guys at the jail said, "I wouldn't do that, actually. He's in for life." And he murdered 7 women, including his mother, by decapitation. And it's not pleasant, I know, but it's amazing what we were allowed and what Father Merlet enabled us to experience. Final story for me was later when I was a member of the Tokyo Quartet, I asked my colleagues if they would like to experience this because we were the lucky ones in a sense, and they had not experienced it. And Father Merlet said, "Wonderful, you're going to be in California. I will come out. We will go to Soledad, and we'll play a concert in the prison in Soledad." And I have never seen so many dark, cynical, disengaged faces in my life as we're sitting there. And Father Merlet stood up and made his beautiful speech. But, his accent was so strong that most of these people had no idea what he was saying. They just felt his warmth. And so they remained very mistrustful and cynical in their regard until we started playing the Quartet Satz of Schubert, which starts very quietly but nervously and builds to a rather frightening climax and then opens the door, as only Schubert can, to one of the most glorious melodies ever conceived. And to observe those faces transform within a few seconds was to understand the power of music. And when can a young musician develop that particular quality that ultimately is at the heart of the power of music? We have auditions, juries, student recitals, competitions, hardly the environment to encourage us to feel inspired. The greatest gift for all of us was to be given the opportunity to play from our souls without concern for technical perfection or the fear of a bad result or a bad review. To know that the message is all important and nobody needs to be impressed. It was Sharon and Jamie who brought me the great fortune of meeting and knowing Father Merlet. From the very beginning, it was clear just to be in his presence brought a feeling of comfort. He exuded grace, warmth, and love, one imagined even in his sleep. Among many other inspiring lessons learned from him, for me, these are the three most powerful messages. Number one, the power of music is to be shared equally. Status or wealth must not be a determining factor. All concerts are of equal importance. It could never be, I'll give you a debut in Tully Hall on the condition that you do these community concerts. No. If anything, it was the opposite. Number two, the spirit of music. Music's spiritual message must be at the heart of all we do. We are the vehicles for that message. We're the vessels that can absorb and comprehend the essence of the music and then share it with others. Number three, the greatest joy in life is the one derived from giving joy to others. It is a privilege to be the ones who are able to develop the skills to convey and bring to life the beauty that is inherent in music. We must share and spread a world of beauty at every opportunity. And playing in prisons, hospitals, etc., exemplifies the truth in this belief. So last May, as I walked from the metro stop in Paris to the home where Eugène spent his last months, I was full of apprehension. How would he be? How would he look? How would he feel? Arriving there brought me, as it would all of us, back into that extraordinary world which he introduced us to, a place on one level tragic and helpless, but on another deeply peaceful and without any pressure of expectation. Being in his presence was always an honor. His enthusiasm for life was as radiant as ever, whether he was talking with such excitement about all of the artists or biting into the pain au chocolat which I had brought to him. He spoke passionately about the Pro Musicis dream, his eyes widening still further when I reassured him that Pro Musicis had been and will always be a huge success. "Do you really believe that?" he would say with that glint in his eye. At the end of my second visit, this time with Nadine, and he had married us 24 years earlier, as he married Jamie and Sharon some years before that, which I'm not allowed to mention, but it's something like 37. Anyway, but as always, he demonstrated the utmost grace, insisting on walking us to the elevator and chatting all the way. And when the moment came for him to say goodbye, his expression was one of optimism, peace, and hope. And it reminded me of this moment in a Pro Musicis movie where Byron Janis, and welcome Byron, we're so pleased to see you, was speaking to listeners in one of the community concerts. And Byron was talking about the issues he'd had with his hands earlier in his career and what a struggle it was to get over it, but how important it was. And he made the following observation. He said, "We all have to learn how to turn adversity into advantage." You may or may not remember saying that, but that was a great, great inspiration to many, many people, including myself. Eugène's inspiration lives on in all of us. As the doors of the elevator closed that night, he blessed us with his hand. And that gesture seemed to reach out to every corner of the universe. I know in my heart it was meant for all of us who knew and loved him. I also know that we all share deep gratitude in having known a man with such a gentle soul and such profound conviction. Shall we wish him a happy birthday for tomorrow? To Eugène, thank you so much. It gives me great pleasure. You cannot imagine how great a pleasure to introduce two of my longest standing friends in America, two people who were so special to me when I was a very young man, a young student, and Jamie Laredo, Sharon Robinson, it's so wonderful to see you, and please give Jamie and Sharon a very warm welcome.